Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be playing another round of my TBR game, Scrabble Picks My TBR. This is a pretty straightforward TBR game. Basically, every month I spell 5 words in a game of Scrabble. Those 5 words act as my reading prompts for the month. I must successfully complete the prompt to collect the points for that word, and once I reach 150 points, I get to clear my board and start anew. I will link my entire Scrabble TBR playlist in the card if you want to watch some of my previous videos. Let's talk very briefly about how I did on last month's TBR before we get to this month's picks. I did pretty well. I read all of the books except for an instance of the finger post, so I only lost, I think, 4 points for that word. Editing Jackie here to say that filming Jackie kind of buried the lead here, which is that I did hit 150 points last month. So yeah, I just forgot to mention the most important part. Honestly, there is nothing that I'm trying to fit on the TBR this month. I don't have anything planned, so we're just going to let the chips fall where they may, or the tiles fall where they may in this case. Let's go back to past Jackie to see prompt number 1. So since I reached 150 points, we are now starting over with a new board. Bag full of tiles, and I have all my special tiles back. I have 1 special blank and then 2 star tiles that I can use to swap out my letters at any point during the game without consequences. Let's start by picking 7 new letters to start. U, A, T, O, I, another T, R, and A. So I'm going to spell tarot, as in tarot cards. Now, listen, I don't know anything about tarot cards, but there were several people who had tarot card TBR games. I don't know if any of them still make those videos anymore, but those were a TBR game that I always enjoyed watching. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind this. I'm just gonna go on a website and pull 1 random tarot card, and then based on the description of the card, pick a book. So it should be interesting. So the first prompt is tarot. I was going to do a random 1 card tarot pick and then pick a book based off that specific card. I know nothing about tarot cards, but I have enjoyed watching people's tarot picks my TBR videos, and that was the idea here. I just used an online tarot card reading website to pick a card, and what I got was the Knight of Cups. Apparently, this represents an arrival or an invitation that will bring celebration. It depicts a young knight on a white horse and can also signal romance coming into your life. Now, this was a bit tricky because this card is clearly a positive thing, but I mostly read murder mysteries, thrillers, so not a lot of happy romantic books on my TBR. I had to get a little bit creative with this. So I don't know if this is the best book I could have chosen for the card, but I decided to go with The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley because it involves an invitation, which works for the card, and also the cover is predominantly white, so I think that goes with his white horse. This is one of the books that I included in my 2024 Read It or Delete It TBR challenge, which is a challenge I created for myself, challenging myself to read books that have been on my TBR for many years, and if I don't read them by the end of 2024, I'm going to delete them from my TBR. I will link that video in the card if you want to go see my full list. This is a book that has been on my TBR, I think since 2018 or something like that. So I'm finally going to read it this month. This is a mystery thriller that follows a group of friends. They are all going on a hunting trip to a remote area in the Scottish Highlands. They are snowed in together, and by the end of the trip, one of them will be dead. I enjoyed The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I've heard that this book, which she wrote before The Guest List, is very similar, but not quite as good. So we'll see about this one. I am glad that I'm finally going to read it after all this time. E. G. F. D. And it's upside down, but T. I'm gonna go with figure. This one, so I could do like something like a book I figure I'll like, or, you know, like a person's figure on the cover, you know, something like that. I'll think about it. I'm sure I can find plenty of choices for this. But let's do the points. I think the only special is here, and this is a double letter, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. Next, for the prompt figure, I chose The Engineer's Wife by Tracy Enerson Wood. You can see her figure walking away on the cover. This is a historical fiction book that honestly I have not seen a single person on BookTube talk about, but I discovered it randomly while scrolling through the Libby app. This book is about Emily Roebling, and she is a woman from history who I had heard nothing about until I recently watched season 2 of The Gilded Age, where a version of her appears as a fictional character. Emily Roebling was married to one of the engineers responsible for the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. However, early on in the process, his health issues got to a point where he was not well enough to continue on the project. So Emily, who had also studied engineering, actually stepped in and oversaw the project in his place. So she is a female engineer in the late 1800s when such a thing was not socially acceptable, and her achievements in this project, I believe, were not really recognized at the time. People gave her husband all of the credit because it would have been too scandalous for her to say, yeah, actually, I was the one who was in charge of the project. So it is a very interesting story, and when I just happened to stumble across this book, I was interested in it because I just watched season 2 of The Gilded Age, and the Emily Roebling story was really interesting to me. I was surprised that I had never heard about her before, considering all the work she did for something as instrumental as the Brooklyn Bridge. Like I said, I haven't seen anyone review this book, so I don't know if it's any good. I did preview it and start reading a little bit of the first chapter, and I liked what I read so far. So we'll see about this one. I'm really interested in the concept. H. I. A. V. E. This is on the triple letter. Cool. Hated. I'm just gonna read a book that somebody else on booktube hated. So that's that. All right, so this is triple. So that's 12. This is also triple. So 18? Huh. 18, 19, 20, 21. Is that right? Next, a book that someone else hated. For this, I picked a book that I saw a few positive reviews for and also a lot of negative reviews for. This is a book that I have been wanting to read for 2 years, and I'm very happy that I'm finally fitting it onto a TBR because I have FOMO about this book. I'm talking about The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is kind of a hit and miss author for me. There were some books of his that I really enjoyed and others that didn't quite do it for me, but all of his books are entertaining, fast reads. So even when they don't quite work for me, like, I'm still gonna keep giving him more chances. In this book, our main character is named Casey. She is a recently widowed actress who has just moved into a house on a lake, I think to sort of, get away from the publicity and have some time to herself after her loss. She starts observing this couple named Tom and Catherine who live across the lake from her. She thinks they have the perfect marriage, but that is not the case. When Catherine disappears, Casey starts to wonder if her husband, Tom, is potentially responsible for whatever happened to her. Like I said, I have major FOMO about this book because even though I saw a lot of negative reviews, I saw so many people make veiled references sort of along the lines of, when that one thing happened in the book, you know what I'm talking about if you read it. And hearing people say things like that, it made me want to know what they were talking about. I wanted to know what it was about this book that got them so pissed off, you know what I mean? So I have been wanting to read this for 2 years now, and I'm glad that I'm finally getting to it. Will I love it? Will I hate it? I don't know, but I am excited to finally know what everybody's talking about with this book. I. E. G. And another I. Okay. 5. Read a 5-star prediction. I think I have 2 or 3 books from my last 5-star predictions that I didn't read yet. Definitely 2. There might have been a third. And there's one in particular that I think would be a good choice for me this month based on something that I'm going to do. So, nothing special, but that's 10. So that's pretty good. Next, for a 5-star prediction, I'm going to be reading The Creation of Anne Boleyn by Susan Bordeaux. This is actually a non-fiction book, and I have heard really good things about it. This is, as the title suggests, about Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII and the mother of Queen Elizabeth I. And this book is really talking about the myths surrounding Anne Boleyn and how throughout history perception of her has morphed and changed. So it's a sort of sympathetic, more feminist take of Anne Boleyn, looking past the rumors and investigating who she really was as a person. Anne Boleyn is my favorite wife of Henry VIII. Do you also have a favorite wife of Henry VIII, or are you normal? I just really find her fascinating because ever since I was in elementary school, I've enjoyed reading books about Henry VIII and his wives. And when I was a kid, all of these historical fiction books would really depict Anne Boleyn as this awful witch, so manipulative and evil. And then when I got older and I started actually looking into historical research and learning more about this period, I was very surprised to discover that she wasn't really like that and that she was a more sympathetic person than I thought. Like, I'm not saying Anne Boleyn was a saint or anything, but all these fiction books that I read as a child depicted her as a villain, and I became such a fan of her because I liked seeing the kind of person that she really was outside of this caricature that I had read about growing up. So that's why the concept of this book really appeals to me. I also just went to go see Six the Musical, which is a musical about the 6 wives of Henry VIII, so I felt like this seemed an appropriate choice for this month. I are Jeez. Another eye. How many eyes do I have? 4? I think I'm gonna switch. Cause that's too many. Like, we can keep 1, but I want some other vowels. So let's pick again. A. Y. E. And then we can put these back in here. Grade. So I was thinking, something that has gray on the cover, but you could also maybe interpret it as old because you're old and gray. You're graying. So it could be like an old book on my TBR, a book with an old character. I don't know. So there was what? There was a triple letter here. All right. So this is 5, 6, 10, 13. Okay. And finally, for the prompt grade, I decided to read Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Satanto. I mean, she has gray hair and she's an older main character, so I think that works. This is a mystery that I've heard good things about from multiple reviews on BookTube. It's by the same author as Dial A for Aunties, and the premise of that book never particularly appealed to me, but this one intrigued me a little more. It's a mystery following our main character, Vera Wong. She is an old woman who lives a fairly lonely existence as the owner of a tea shop in San Francisco's Chinatown neighborhood. Her life changes when one day she comes downstairs and discovers a dead body in her tea shop. This dead man is holding a flash drive, and for some reason, Vera just can't help but look into this murder. Who is this man? Why was he found in her tea shop? She just can't help herself from investigating the crime. So Vera becomes an amateur sleuth investigating this case. Along the way, she forges relationships with the different customers in her tea shop while trying to determine which one of them is the murderer. I've heard a lot of people say that they loved this book, and personally, I enjoy those mysteries that have a fun, lighthearted element with really memorable characters. I'm hoping that's the kind of book that this is going to be. I am excited for it. All right, so I feel like that was not a bad round, and next time I will still have this T and I. So everyone, that is it for my April TBR game. I hope you enjoyed. If you're still here watching, let me know in the comments section what you plan to read this month. Have you read any of the books on this TBR? I would really like to know what you thought of them. And if you're still here but you don't know what to comment, why don't you comment a gray heart emoji in honor of the last prompt and the fact that I'm also happening to wear it gray today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel grow and reach more people. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more from me. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and my social media links are down below if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a spectacular rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you next time.